Roppstar gang, what up? What up? The chat's already blown up. The chat is already blown up. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Roppstar Report. Your host, as always, Clay Ropp, and welcome, man. Welcome. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight. We've already done a training camp preview recently. Okay. But I wanted to bring, of course, it's starting tomorrow, so why not? I refresh your memory. Okay. And I'm going to dive deeper into this one tonight. All right. So happy Sunday. Hopefully this is a good start to your week. And I hope everyone had a blessed Sunday, man. It's football's here. I can taste it. I can smell it. I'm not sure how that smells, but you get what I'm getting at though, right? Like it's here, and I know that we're all excited. Like you cannot not feel excited, right? So shout out to everybody in the chat. Marcos Cash comes in and says Sunday Night Live, badass. Yes, Sunday Night Live tonight, man. We're gonna be doing Sunday game by game preview, day by. So might as well go ahead and get started now. Might as well go ahead and get started now, chat. Sorry about that. Supernova says, what do you say? Clay, what do you say? I say salute, and salute to you, my friend. Salute to you. Josiah says, tomorrow already. Yeah. Rookies report tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. The rookies report tomorrow as we speak. Also, become a member today. The Roppstar Report, that is in there. Also, let's go, Eric Blair. What's good, man? All my links, if you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, X, TikTok. By the way, if you haven't heard the news already, we had an interesting, I would say a special someone, because I think thought it was really cool. I made a TikTok today, of course, about the Knicks Scorton signing, right? And Miss Scorton, the mother of Nick Scorton, commented on my TikTok today and followed me on TikTok. Absolutely awesome. So that's why you got to get on TikTok, man. Got to go over there, follow me on TikTok. I would greatly appreciate it. If you're feeling generous, feel free to donate to the channel, Venmo, Cash App. That would be great. Or you can always hit us with the super chats. D Perkins, what's good? Earl Locklear, what's going on, man? What's up, my main man Clay Dizzle? What's up, my G? Earl, what's good? Domo Smith in the house, what's good? The Thrift Life, what's up, Clay? And Tom King, what's good? Terrence Tate comes and says, sup, Panthers Nation. I know it's sad that no fans are not allowed, but some news will pop up on Facebook and what in training camp. Yeah, well, you can all, hey, Terrence, I'll be breaking it down here for you. All right, I'm going to be taking everything I can get from X, Facebook, and I'll be putting it into these live streams. So I will be bringing you plenty of content for you guys to come in here. And I'll just be giving you my thoughts, at least from what I'm hearing and what we're getting and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys tune in throughout training camp, right? Because it's going to be important that we do so. All right, we got to pay attention. So again, we got over 30-something people watching. Make sure you smash that like button on your way in or on your way out. Make sure you comment in the comment section. Love to hear y'all's thoughts as we go throughout tonight. And we're just going to be breaking down really the roster. We're going to be breaking down battles. We're going to talk about injuries. We're going to talk about return timelines. It's all in the description of this live stream. We're going to be talking about some sleepers that maybe you guys might not have thought about. And again, just get in the live chat, share the live with your third cousin, your friend, your grandmother, anybody that's a Carolina Panthers fan. Make sure you come and share the live. All right. Yeah, but let me pull up my little presentation. I've already used this one before, but hey, guess what? It'll work. I want to get y'all guys prepared for this upcoming training camp. All right. I want to get you guys prepared for this upcoming training camp. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. Quarterbacks that we've already talked about. Bryce Young. This is a make or break year, but this is also the year that he could take a major leap, right? We've already had that discussion. But when we're talking about training camp, this is what I mean. I can see myself here, or this is what I see kind of coming out. Now, we're not, and let's be clear here, the Panthers aren't swimming in depth in this position. There are two guys here whose jobs aren't up for grabs, right? As for Bryce Young, this is year 3 of the Bryce Young experience, all right? Or the experiment, I should say, not the experience, the third year of the Bryce Young experiment, all right? Again, like I said earlier, it's a make or break time this year. If we're talking about last year he had a disaster start, which then he saw his benching in week 5. And Young clawed his way back. And of course, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. He looked like a different quarterback in those final 10 games. And you guys know that. And you know how I feel if you've tuned in. You know, he showed improvement. He showed that pocket presence that we've been wanting. He showed faster reads. He had a better feel for pressure. He wasn't perfect. He was functional, and finally flashed signs of being a legitimate quarterback, right? Well, the franchise guy. Now, the Panthers, again, we are committed to this young buck for now, right? The leash, I will say, is a bit longer than it was last year, but it's not infinite, right? Ownership is watching. So is Dave Canales, the new head coach, who we all know is that quarterback developer, quarterback guru. So Young needs to show he's the guy, not just the guy, but it starts in training camp. As for Andy Dalton, Dalton is back for his 15th season because he's the adult in this whole room. He's not exciting at this point in his career for Andy Dalton. He's not winning you games. He won't lose them either. I would say in five spot starts last year, he was exactly what you expect: competent, steady, and conservative. Like that's what Carolina needs from a backup. He's not going anywhere unless something completely unexpected happens. Now, in the bubble, this is where things kind of get murky. You got two young, unproven quarterbacks really who are battling for relevancy and likely a practice squad spot. Jack Plummer is the definition of a long shot turned training camp fixture. That's what he is. He's undrafted out of Louisville in 2024. He survived cut downs. He was stuck on the practice squad. He even heard a late season call up when, injuries hit. So, I'll say this. He knows the system. He was built in he has built-in chemistry here with some of the young offensive pieces. I mean, coaches like his work ethic. With that being said, his physical tools are average. I mean, his ceiling is probably an emergency QB3, but in a world where quarterback injuries are weekly occurrence, that is value. Okay. Now for Ethan Garbers, I mean, he's this year's version of Plummer of last year, right? Another undrafted rookie who's here to prove he belongs. He's a redshirt senior out of UCLA. He put up some respectable numbers, nothing jaw dropping at UCLA, over 2,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 picks. But he had the most picks in the Big Ten. So he has a good enough arm. I think he's got solid mechanics. But ball security and consistency remains his big concern. His advantage, fresh tape, a clean slate, developmental intriguement there. But if he impresses in preseason, I mean, he could leapfrog Jack Plummer for that QB3 / practice squad spot. I mean, if we're saying any battle that you're watching in this quarterback room, man, you're watching Garber and Jack Plummer, right? That's the battle you'll be watching in this room. Okay, the Panthers aren't going to be carrying 3 quarterbacks on this initial 53-man roster. I just don't see it. Not with so many holes elsewhere. That means Plummer and Garbers are going to be the 2-man fighting on for one practice squad seat, in my opinion. I think the edge will definitely go to Jack Plummer. I mean, he knows the system. He's earned the staff's trust. He has actual NFL reps under his belt, even though I know they're limited. Garber brings a higher upside in theory. If he lights it up in preseason action or shows strong, command in scrimmages, the team might choose potential over familiarity. So this will be a classic camp drama, 2 fringe quarterbacks, 1 possible future, somebody holding the clipboard, basically. But the bottom line here in this room is Bryce Young's future is the Panthers' future. Plain and simple. Like, if he takes another step forward under Canales, this team could surprise people. If he regresses or plateaus, Carolina will be staring down another rebuild, likely with a new quarterback in that 2026 draft class. Dalton is here to keep the ship again afloat if needed and to mentor from the shadows. As for Plummer and Garbers, they're fighting for relevancy. That's it. And maybe a paycheck in the fall. But training camp won't solve all of Carolina's problems. It will give us a much clearer picture of whether Bryce is finally ready to lead this team, or again, are we just delaying the inevitable? All right. That's what I look at this. What's up, Carolina Cole? Appreciate you joining. Keep pounding. Let's go get some wins. Josiah says, I think at worst he'll be an average quarterback. What's up, Clay? What's up, Sean? It's about that time. Training camp tomorrow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Football is back. Yes, sir, it is. Appreciate that, Marcos. Marcos knows what's up. He says, what up, Panther Nation? Subscribe for the latest news and analysts on Carolina Panthers. Don't forget to show your love and support by pounding that like button on your way in. Appreciate that, Marcos. Marcos knows what's up, man. He knows what the deal is over here at the Roppstar Report. Appreciate everyone again joining the live stream as we go throughout this camp preview once again. Bryce always looks good in camp. He does. He does. Again, it's just like I said in his make or break video. My expectations are high. He is going in his 3rd year. I'm giving him till the middle of November to prove that to me. But he's got to be consistent up until middle of November. Do I need him for us to have an undefeated record by the middle of November? No. But do I expect him to be the starting quarterback and be consistent and efficient throughout the season? Yes. Those are my 2 bugaboos for him this season: consistency and efficiency. All right. So if you really want a more breakdown of Bryce Young, go check out my latest live stream. You can go back and watch the replay of make or break for Bryce Young. So go check it out. Well, every team looks good in camp, to be honest. Yeah. Of course. Every team does. So, all right, let's move on. The running back room. Now, this is an interesting group, I think. Here's the thing about this. Again, I think that with us rolling into training camp, ladies and gentlemen, I think everybody's going to be keeping their eyes on the offense, right? Rightfully so. You got you added some new coaching to the staff, from the offensive side, if I'm not mistaken, or was that mainly defensive side? I can't remember, but you have this whole staff coming back. And then of course you've got the whole same system coming back. You still are developing a franchise quarterback. But the offensive identity is interesting because there is one spot that is not lacking for options, is that's the running back room. This is probably the top of the depth chart is set. I mean, the rest is anything but. You got Trevor Etienne, who enters the fray as a dynamic but unproven talent, who's looking to find footing in this backfield, loaded with production, right? The question isn't just can he make the rosters, whether he can carve out a real meaningful role in year one. But I'm going to talk more about him. Now, the roster locks for me are easy. Chuba Hubbard. Let's talk about Chuba real quick. We're talking about a guy that finally put it all together in 2024. After years of looking like that serviceable, rotational back, he turned into a borderline Pro Bowler last year. Over 1,100 yards. I think the exact number was 1,195 yards, so almost 1,200 yards last year, 10 touchdowns. I mean, most importantly, consistent. Tough running between the tackles. He earned every penny for that new 4-year, $33.2 million extension. Is he an elite back? No. Is he reliable, durable, productive? Yes. And that's enough to keep him as my locked-in RB1 heading into 2025. What's up, Daz? We're going to make some noise this year. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cyburn, what's good, man? Good evening. Appreciate you joining. I'll definitely do a call-in show to finish it out at the end. Of course, I always like to add that in here. We're going to start adding those in where people, and I like to make it like a legit call-in show, so people will not be able to see you. They will be able to hear you. But I want to make it like a legit call-in show, like you're calling into an actual podcast or radio. So appreciate that. But just give you guys a heads up when I do turn on the call-in show. All right, let's go into Rico Dowdle. Now, Dowdle might be the most underrated signing of Carolina's offseason, in my opinion. Okay, not because he's a Gamecock, not because he's an Asheville, North Carolina native, but you're talking about a guy that came over from Dallas after putting up almost 1,100 yards. It was basically 1,070 plus yards. And that was in last year. Limited snaps. And another thing is, too, he's a physical, he's a tough, and he doesn't need a lot of space to get going. He's great out of the backfield, especially in passing downs. Great hands. Agile as shit. I think him and Hubbard are going to cut from a similar cloth. I think both of them are. Both are bruisers, but not burners. That might limit how creative Carolina can get offensively, in my opinion, but it does give them a dependable 1-2 punch on those early downs, right? That's what I like about this. All right. Now, I think Trevor Etienne is making this roster. I think Trevor Etienne enters this camp as the X factor in this group, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let me be clear. All right, he's that 4th round pick out of Georgia, Florida, right? He came out of Florida too before he went to Georgia. He was in Florida. He does bring a much needed change of pace, an element in this backfield from that heavy on power to more of that light on versatility. Because you go look at his size. You're talking about a guy who's at 5'9", 198 pounds. So he's a guy who's very compact, very elusive, has legitimate juice in space. I mean, the guy averaged like 5.6 yards per carry in college. He scored 23 touchdowns on the ground and flashed solid hands with 62 catches over 3 seasons. So another thing that he also brings to the table that's going to, I think, is going to push Raheem Blackshear out, even though I think this is a camp battle that everybody should be. It's one of my honorable mention camp battles. I don't think it's a top 5 camp battle. I think it's an honorable mention. But if I'm giving you, I'll give you my top 5 later on. But 26 kickoffs as well and a couple of punt returns. So I know this isn't college anymore. We get it. Different speed, different level. Etienne's vision needs work for sure. His pass protection is spotty at times. He does walk into a room with 2 guys who are well-established veterans. But he is a proven return man. And I think he's likely to make the 53-man roster. But whether he earns an actual playing time or gets buried behind a clipboard is entirely up to him. I just think that, so when we look at this wide receiver running back room, there are guys on the bubble. You got Raheem Blackshear. All right. Now, not everybody I'm going to mention is up here on the screen, but I am going to go through some guys that you haven't heard of or you do know of. So it depends on how much you know about the Panthers roster. But again, Raheem Blackshear is your classic special teams first guy, right? He's been the Panthers' go-to punt returner in the last 3 years. He has held on to a roster spot largely because of that one skill set. I mean, he's quick, he's experienced, he's dependable, but he's not particularly explosive or threatening as a runner. I think if he loses his return role to ETN or Jimmy Horn Jr. or Xavier Legette, which I could see any of these guys being the punt returners, right? I think he's gone. Simply as that. Okay. Now you got guys on the bubble out there as well. Like you got Imani Bailey. Imani Bailey is a practice squad holdover. He had decent college production, but he hasn't done anything to move the needle at the NFL level. I'll give you this: when you go watch his tape, he's fast, he's slippery, he's just undersized and untested. I think he's here for depth and scout team reps. I think nothing more, unless injuries hit, right? K'Ron Lynch Adams, if anybody knows who that is, but I know that's an interesting name. Lynch Adams is a guy who was undrafted out of Michigan State. Now, he doesn't look or play like the rest of the guys fighting for the, I guess you could say, RB4 job. I mean, he's bigger. I mean, you're talking about a bigger running back. You're talking about a guy who's 5'10", 215, thicker through the trunks, right? He runs with violent intent when you watch his film. He's not the flashiest guy again, but he's got burst for his size. And that might be enough to get him noticed. He's raw. He needs to show value on special teams. But if anyone is going to pull off the classic camp shocker, it's him. I think the battle to watch in this room, though, ladies and gentlemen, is the Trevor Etienne and Raheem Blackshear, right? And the reason why I say that is because Blackshear knows the system. He has the special team value and won't make rookie mistakes, whereas you got Etienne, who's got the higher ceiling, both as a rusher and a receiver, but also the lower floor. What Etienne lacks in polish, he makes up for in explosiveness. So if he can prove to be dependable enough to handle return duties and pass protection in camp, the Panthers will choose the more dynamic back, right, over that veteran placeholder every single time. They will. They will. Yeah, me neither, Marcos. I don't think he makes the roster either. Now, I will say this. Keep your eye on Kyron Lynch Adams, the guy I was telling you about. Again, the guy out of Michigan State, Kyron Lynch Adams. Again, he's not going to outskill any of these guys out here. Well, he might out hit and out effort everyone else. So if the Panthers want a fourth back who could probably contribute on special teams, be a guy that could bring some real thump to the short yardage game, then he has a legitimate shot to stick around, in my opinion. Okay. But Hubbard, Rico Dowdle locked in. Etienne's an intriguing but unproven. But we'll see. Again, keep your eye on Kyron Lynch Adams. This is one of my honorable mentions. This is not one of my top 5 battles, but this is definitely an honorable mention for me. Definitely an honorable mention for me. Again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Appreciate everyone that's joining in. Make sure you pound that like button. We got over 33 people. We got over 41 people total watching. Whether you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, Twitch or X, or YouTube. Again, the best way you can show your support is come on over here to make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Looks like the poll's going pretty well. Which camp battle are you looking forward to? It looks like 43% of you said Moore versus Renfro. So that's interesting because we are moving on to the wide receiver room. We are moving on to the wide receiver room. What do you think Jimmy Horn Jr. could do on special teams? Well, I'll get to him in a minute because we are, and I appreciate that question, Marcos. I'm diving in this wide receiver room now for you guys. This is definitely one of my top 5 camp battles. One of the top 5. I don't know if it's 1. I don't know if it's 2. It might be 1 for me. I don't know. I would probably say it probably is one for me. And it's the camp battle I'm watching is definitely David Moore and Hunter Renfrow. All right. But let me dive more into that real quick. Okay. Because when we're talking about the wide receiver room now, right? The wide receiver room is totally different. This is suddenly one of the most crowded rooms we have on this roster. And it's interesting because of how so much versatility we have in this receiver room. And that's a good thing because for the last few years, the Panthers have trotted out one of the least threatening wide receiver rooms in the league. I mean, if we're being honest, right? But now, after you go back-to-back first-round investments and a total offensive overhaul, especially in the offensive line, there's actual competition. The problem is there probably aren't many jobs available. Roster locks for me, again, this is going to be easy. It's Ejiro McMillan, T-Mac. He's your new number one wide receiver, or at least he better be, right? You're talking about a guy who's a first rounder out of University of Arizona, when he's walking into training camp with high expectations. There's a lot of pressure on him already. You're talking about a guy who's 6'5" with elite body control. He's the kind of outside threat that Bryce Young has never had in Carolina. Whether McMillan can adjust to the NFL physicality and separate consistently, that will determine if he's a true alpha or he's just another tall body with upside. But he's a lock because he has to be. The Panthers need him to be. Point blank, period. Okay? Point blank, period. Now, as we're talking about Xavier Legette, this guy, again, he's an uneven rookie, guy who had an uneven rookie season last year. That ranged from invisible to the occasionally intriguing moments, right? Like Legette is back and he's looking to prove what he was worth in 2024 in that 2024 first round pick. Now, the physical traits are undeniable. His size, speed, freakish, but he's still raw as a route runner and struggles with the concentration drops, right? Year 2 is going to be crucial for him. Again, I've said it before, if he doesn't show growth, he could go from being that future wide receiver 1 or 2 to the special teams gunner real fast. But for now, I think his roster spot is safe. Adam Thielen is the next one. Adam Thielen turns 35 in August, man. Like his legs showed it last year. I mean, still, the veteran led Carolina in receiving for the second straight season, and no one else came close. He's not explosive anymore, but he's so reliable. He's tough. He knows how to get open in short areas. He's a cultural guy, a locker room presence, which this team needs in a rebuild. Now, unless he retires mid-camp, which is very unlikely, he's making the team. Another lock for me, and call me crazy. Some of you might call me crazy. Some of you might believe in this guy as much as I do. I think Jalen Coker's a lock. And here's why. Because Carolina already might have Thielen's successor in the slot. Coker, who's a 2024 undrafted gem, showed enough last season to suggest he belongs, right? His route running, body control, his hands all stood out in limited snaps. He's not flashy, but he's effective, ladies and gentlemen. And more importantly, cheap. And I think with Thielen aging out and Legette still developing, I think Coker offers an immediate depth and long-term upside. And he's not just a lock. I think he might be one of the steals of this entire group. I think he's one of the dark horses, again, on this team. Kendall comes in and says, Coke boys in the building. He's definitely a lock. Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming through, Kendall. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight. Thank you guys for coming through. Again, make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button. Now, I will say this. There is that group that I think can make it. I think there's guys on here. So, like I said, my locks are Ejiro McMillan, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, now Jalen Coker. Now, guys I think that could likely make it are David Moore. right? Moore has one thing most of these guys outside of the bubble that they don't. They got trust from the head coach. Like Dave Canales already coached him twice, Seattle and Tampa Bay. So that familiarity is the real currency in the NFL. He also developed decent chemistry with Bryce Young late last year. He racked up 35 targets in the final 7 games. He also adds special teams value. David Moore, as of right now, is the wide receiver 5 right now. He's not flashy. He's versatile. Canales knows exactly what he's getting. Jimmy Horn Jr. If Carolina wants juice, Horn is the plug. All right. Now, Jimmy Horn Jr. has the speed we've been looking for, and it's been the talking point of all offseason about his speed, and it's real. He's the one receiver on the roster who can take the top off a defense and turn a bubble screen into an absolute house call. He has a front office, connection a little bit because obviously Dan Morgan reportedly is a big fan of him. So if Horn flashes on special teams or pops in preseason, he's in. The upside is there, even if the polish isn't. Now, Marcos, to your question, what do you think could do on special teams? Again, I just said he could take, like me saying he could take the top off the offense. I mean, what do you think if he could take the top off a defense? Sorry, not the offense. Take the top off a defense. I mean, put him in special teams. He could do the same thing. I mean, with that speed. So I like that. That's what I could see him doing: kick returns or punt returns. I think it would be a smart move. Now, the guy that's going to sit now on the outside looking in right now is Hunter Renfrow. This is tough for me because I think Hunter Renfrow makes this roster, but Renfrow again was a Pro Bowler, and not long ago. And it wasn't that it was that long ago, but he hasn't looked like himself since the 2021 season. Of course, he missed all of that 2024 due to the ulcerative colitis. I think that's how you pronounce it. But he's also 28 now. So he's trying to claw his way back into that league. And that moves on pretty fast, right? So his route running and his hands are still top tier when he's healthy. But the thing is am I even at least getting 80% of that 2021 Jimmy Horn Jr.? I feel good comeback story is possible, but he'll have to outplay a younger, more versatile David Moore and stay healthy the entire time. So the odds aren't great, but they're not zero either for him. But I'm still on the Renfrow train. I think he makes this roster. I mean, I can see a world where we keep 7, but I don't think that's the case. I think we should keep 6, if anything. Now, you got Dan Chisnia. If he makes this team, it won't be because of his receiving skills. Let's be honest. I mean, this guy was a former Penn State sprinter and is a special teams demon. Fast, aggressive, reliable. Because you got Sam Franklin and Felipe Franks gone. Chisnia could fill a core role in the third phase. He's a long shot, but he's not just a camp fodder. Now, let's not forget about guys like Kobe Hudson, Jacoby George, TJ Luther, or Bryson Tremaine. All 4 are essentially practice squad hopefuls unless something crazy happens. I'm high on Kobe Hudson. I think that him and George showed a lot of flashes in college, but they're raw. As for Luther, he's athletic, but he's just inconsistent. Tremaine, calling card is size, but he struggles to create separation. So they'll need a monster preseason performances and injuries ahead of them to really make a dent on this team. But the battle to watch, though, here for me, and this is probably the number one battle for me in training camp, it is David Moore versus Hunter Renfrow. This is probably for wide receiver 6 or 5 if the team goes light elsewhere. But if Renfrow is healthy and looks like anything that guy who torched nickel corners in Vegas, he has a real shot. But Moore is going to be the guy that they're going to trust more. And I will say David Moore is more versatile and far more familiar with this offensive system. So they might even keep that continuity closer to their heart. And again, also he plays special teams. But again, if you remember in Vegas, Hunter Renfrow also did. So it's not the flashiest battle. I think it's going to be it's still my number one battle because I'm very interested in this wide receiver room because of just how much depth we have here. But I think whoever loses this battle will likely end up job hunting, right? So it'll be interesting to see. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most. We got a good wide receiver room, 3 vets and 3 youngsters. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, I wouldn't sleep on guys like Dan Chesnia, though. I think because Canales loves special teams. So a guy like Chesnia, I mean, the Panthers lost several core players in that phase of special teams. So having a guy like Chesney on the team who's fast, physical, experienced in coverage, again, if he shows up early in camp and makes a few splash plays on punt or kickoff coverage, he could absolutely still a spot. So, but again, if the Panthers keep 7 receivers, which is rare but not impossible, I mean, he could sneak into that third phase only guy. Stranger things have happened, but we'll see. I just think this is what I think. I think the Carolina Panthers keep six receivers. I think they only keep 7 if someone forces their hand on special teams. I think 4 spots are locked right now, and then 2 are likely, and then everyone else is hoping something breaks their way in, right? That's the way I look at it. Right. As for top end talent, it finally looks promising with guys like McMillan and Leggett. And in the bottom half of the room, it will be decided by the versatility, special teams impact, and just straight up consistency, right? So I just say be ready for cuts. And some names won't make it. I will be honest with you. Because again, you got to look at that running back room. You got to look into this room. And then you got to also look into this next room, the tight end room. Appreciate that, Marcos. 11 people need to hit the like button. Where are we at on likes, guys? Where are we at? How many are we at? 28 likes. I appreciate that, man. Y'all are racking them up, man. Y'all are racking them up. Who are my top fans tonight? Let's see who the top fans are. That's interesting. I love this new top fans thing. Marcos Cash is number 1. Eric Blair is number 2. Earl Locklear is number 3. Uh-oh, y'all got to get y'all's weight up. Everybody else better get their weight up. Marcos Cash, Eric Blair, and Earl Locklear are the top fans of the stream as of right now. So y'all better get in the chat, man. Better get in that chat. Appreciate y'all, though. All right, let's keep going. So let's talk about this tight end room. This is one of the groups I'm uncertain about. I think this tight end room is young. It's thin. And now you're kind of forced to grow up on the fly with these guys. You had Tommy Tremble who's recovering from this off-season back surgery. Leaves a cast of day 3 draft picks and developmental flyers and practice squad hopefuls to try to prove they belong here. So, I'll be honest, this room has more questions than answers in my opinion. So I'm just going to give you what I actually expect out of this room. Well, let's just talk about Tommy Tremble real quick. Tommy Tremble is technically the veteran here. He's returning on a 2-year deal, but the expectations should be tempered heavily. Again, he's recovering from that back surgery and likely won't see real reps until late in the preseason, if at all. And there's a real possibility he starts the regular season on the PUP list, right? He's already on it now, but when healthy, I think Tremble's a solid blocker. He does show flashes of his athleticism, but he's never evolved in that true offensive weapon. I mean, it's true. Go look at his stats. Go look at his stats, ladies and gentlemen. Go look at his stats. I mean, you're talking about a guy who averaged fewer than 200 yards per year. He's a culture guy. Good in the run game as well, but not much of difference maker through the air. And that's fine. But not ideal if he's your tight end one. As of right now, Earl, we haven't received any updates yet. I mean, I haven't seen, any of the beat reporters post anything about it. We haven't seen any press conferences about it. As of right now, there hasn't been really much of an update for Tommy Tremble's return. So I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Now, Jadavion Sanders is the de facto starter until Tremble comes back, and maybe beyond. Here's the thing. This guy showed a lot more flashes last year than I've seen any tight end we've had in a very, very long time. You're talking about a guy who finished with 33 catches and over 340 yards and a touchdown in a limited role, by the way. Okay. So Sanders is a pure pass catching tight end, athletic, fluid, and capable of stretching the field. He looked pretty good in OTAs and minicamp, looked thinner, looked stronger, looked faster. The thing is he's still a developing as a blocker, which he's not terrible, but he's still developing. Which we knew that drafting him. When you go watch his, film, you could tell he's more of a pass catching tight end. But when you also go watch his film, he is a developmental blocker. Okay, but he's gotten better now. With him being a developmental as a blocker, it is going to limit his usage unless the Panthers are willing to scheme around the skill set. And here's the thing. In Dave Canales' offense, that leans on tight ends for inline and H-back responsibilities. Sanders has to prove he can do more, ladies and gentlemen, than just run routes. He's a lock, but he has a lot to prove. Now, Mitchell Evans, I think, is likely going to make this roster, so I'm not really worried about him making the roster. But I think he's such a wild card with so much upside. All right. We're talking about a guy who drafted in the 5th round this year out of Notre Dame, a school that consistently churns out NFL-ready talent and tight ends. This guy also brings size. 6'5", 258, an intriguing college resume. Now, he across 4 years at South Bend, he did have a total of 77 catches, over 903 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So he's a short to intermediate target, can hold his own as a blocker. I'll say this. Think of him as a poor man's Dalton Schultz. Not flashy, but still solid in all phases. So that alone should be enough to get him on this 53 roster, especially if Trimble isn't ready to go week 1. And I think he's got a real shot at earning the tight end 2 duties by mid-camp. All right. Now, on the bubble, we do got some guys out there. On the bubble, ladies and gentlemen. Dominic Daphne. This guy's been a guy who's been bouncing around the league since 2020. There's a reason. He's versatile, he's physical, he's reliable, but not exceptional. He spent some time on Carolina's practice squad late last year, earned a reserve future deal. He's primarily just a blocker and special teamer. Okay. But with this group short on experience, that actually might work in his favor. James Mitchell, formerly of the Detroit Lions. Mitchell is another reserve future signing brought in to compete. I think he's an athletic and a productive stint at Virginia Tech before he tore his ACL in college. But that injury and a lack of standout traits has kept him on the fringe. He's basically a strong camp body at this point. Another one is Bryce Pierre, undrafted out of UCLA. Again, a guy who's a developmental project. He's got decent size, a bit of wiggle in the open field. He's raw in every phase. He's likely a practice squad candidate unless he's absolutely explodes in preseason action. All right, which is unlikely given the traffic ahead of him. So, but the battle to watch is honestly Sanders and Evans. To be honest with you, with Tre'von being sidelined, Sanders and Evans are going to see a ton of reps, which is great. And reps matter in training camp, especially for these guys. Sanders has the edge as a pass catcher. I'm going to give Evans my on the blocking side, but Evans might end up seeing more early down snaps if he blocks better, right? So this is the less about who wins the job. I think this is more about who earns the trust of the coaching staff. I think if Sanders looks like a liability in protection, ladies and gentlemen, or short yardage packages, Canales won't hesitate to give Evans more run. And the battle may last into the regular season. I will say this. If I'm saying that anyone I'm sleeping on, or if there's anybody that we should kind of keep an eye on who could be a dark horse in this room, it would be Dominic Daphne. Just because Trimble misses time, the Panthers will need someone else to grind out the ugly snaps at tight end 3. Someone who can block, protect, play special teams without complaining, and Daphne fits that mold. Plain and simple. He's not going to rack up receiving yards. He's not going to that's not his job. His path to the roster is through special teams and short yardage formations. So if the Panthers want an insurance policy with actual NFL experience, he'll be that guy. He'll be that guy, but be interesting. Sanders is going to take over the tight end room. I hope so. Damn, I forgot all about the rookie tight end. Yeah, man. Dude is a lineman who can catch, basically. If he warms my heart to know, it warms my heart to know Ian Thomas is no longer in the mix. Look at God. Kendall, you better watch out about Ian Thomas. People, better watch what you say about Ian Thomas. I just heard some things, All Ian Freeloader Thomas. I call him Brick for Hands. That's what I called him. Bricks for Hands. Bricks for Hands, man. He'd been better off trying to catch with his feet. All right, let's move on. This is one of the position groups I'm looking forward to. One of them. And it's really the center one that I'm looking forward to. And we also got some new names in this on this offensive line that we need to talk about too. So, but I gotta say, I love that the offensive line we have now, man. I mean, we are ending this camp with continuity at the offensive line. We're entering in with a unit I think is top 10. I think this offensive line is top 10 easily. I mean, this might be the more talented the offensive line we've had in years. And but there with that does come more pressure to get it right? The first year we saw Bryce Young get sacked 62, 63 times. Right? And it was a revolving door of blockers there. And then we finally invested in that offensive line, last offseason. And now there's new faces, there's same faces, there's fresh depth, there's a shift in philosophy. On paper, again, I think this unit looks like a top 10 unit. But the real test starts now. This group holds the single most important position battle of camp, probably, and that's the center one. But the guys who are locks, all right, Ike Ekwonu, easy. Ike Ekwonu is easy. A lock on this roster. Former year 3 for him. Well, no, year 4 for him, correct? Is this Icky's fourth year? Yeah, fourth year. Sorry, not third year. This is Icky's fourth year. All right. We've had to talk about his inconsistencies with the footwork, hand placement, penalties all rearing their ugly heads in 2024. He's still locked in as the starting left tackle. He has to take a lead. I think he's got to take another lead this year. I think this is another. I think he's got to take another leap, and I think he did fine last year. Don't get me wrong, but I think he just needs to get better. I don't think he's a disappointment or anything. I don't think he's at risk to be a disappointment, but I do think he just needs to continue to get better. I just feel like, again, there's still some of those inconsistencies. Not as bad as it was last year, but definitely going into this year, I think there definitely needs to be still some improvements, right? Especially with the footwork and hand placements. They're still there. And the penalties. It's not as bad as it was 2 years ago, but last year was better. I still think he just needs to get better. So who reports tomorrow? Rookies? Yes. Rookies report tomorrow. I think Renfro will be on the practice squad or another team. D. Perkins comes in. The rookies cash. Year 4, and they picked up his 5th-year option. Correct. Yes. That's right. I was about to say, this is year 4. I don't know why I thought it was year 3, but I guess I was having a brain fart there. I think Renfro makes the 5th-year month due to his hands for Bryce. Yep. Thanks, Earl. If we have another high pick, I think we should either trade up to get Caleb Downs or draft Proctor to replace. Interesting, Jesse. Interesting take. Interesting take. We'll see, D. Again, one thing I do want to say about Renfro, though, again, is he's like Thielen. He's a safety blanket, good on third downs, good in red zone, good in short yardage or situations. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be able to get you those first downs. When those 3rd and 7s come along, that the ball needs to go to Renfro. He's going to get you the first downs. Renfro's only been out 1 year, though. He was out 1 year because of the ulcerative colitis. That's it. It's not like he's torn an ACL or anything like that. But I get to where you're coming from, D. I get where you're coming from. All right, Damian Lewis. Easy lock, comes from Seattle, brings familiarity with the obviously Dave Canales. Brings that much needed stability on the inside, and as he showed last year, he's a mauler in the run game, plays with a nasty edge, something this line lacked not last year, but the year before. His presence does give Carolina some identity up front. Now, Austin Corbett, a veteran elite. Here's a caveat. He's coming off a torn bicep and a position switch to center last year, right? But then, he played well in 4 starts last year before the injury. But in this league, the best ability, just like D. Perkins said, talking about Hunter Renfrow, the best ability is availability. And that matters just as much. And his role isn't guaranteed anymore. All right. And I'll talk more about that here shortly because we got a guy that I think is definitely a lock. But Robert Hunt, big money means big expectations. You're talking about a guy who inks in a 5-year, $100 million deal back in last March, right? Which tells you everything you need to know. And he's our starting right guard for sure, no question asked. Absolute Pro Bowl right guard. Hunt is physical, plays with leverage. He gives the Panthers real presence on that interior that we've needed. And he proved that last year, especially in the run and the pass game. So not much to say about him. We know what we're getting out of Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt easily. Taylor Moton, again, I think he's the Iron Man of the group. 129 games played out of a possible 132. But here's the uncomfortable truth about Taylor Moton. He's entering this season at age 31, playing on the final year of his contract. and Carolina doesn't seem sold on him long term, obviously. Still, he's the starting right tackle until further notice. He remains one of the most dependable players on this roster. I think that we either need to restructure his contract or they need to go ahead and extend this guy. What's good, Nick Tri-State? Appreciate you joining, man. Appreciate you coming through. All right. Appreciate you coming through. All right. Then next, Cade Mays. Now, Mays might not have the starting job right now, but he's proven one thing last year. He's too useful to cut. When Mays was in the guard position, the guy was terrible. When they moved him over to the center, it might have been the best thing they ever did for this kid. And he basically had a resurgence of his career last year when Corbett went down. So more importantly, he helped stabilize the interior line during Bryce Young's late season improvement. Again, the guy is not a flashy center, but he is flexible, and makes him roster gold on this team. Brady Christensen. All right. Christensen is a valuable swing option at guard and tackle. We all know how important Brady Christensen is. He's smart, experienced, and serviceable. Spot duty. He's also roster gold, in my opinion, because of what you can do with him and how versatile he is and how good he is, right? He's the kind of guy every team needs as insurance. And again, roster gold. As for Josh Neischmann, you're getting a swing tackle out of him as well with real starting experience. Neischmann was a sneaky good pickup. He can back up both tackle spots without being a liability. If Ekwonu or Moten miss time, he's first in line. Now, guys, I think will still make it. Chandler Zavala. I think Chandler Zavala will make it. He had a rookie. We need to forget about his rookie year. Came back in 2024 with solid reps. Played both guard spots. Earned a respectable grades across the board. I mean, he had a 73.9 blocking grade last year. And he's still growing, but there's enough there to justify a depth role, and he's trending in the right direction. I do like what I've seen from Zavala. All right. Doug Higgins comes in and says, I want Renfro. He's pounding. It sounds like Doug Higgins is pounding the table. Cade Mays will be the starting center. I think so too, D. What's up, Dom34? Appreciate you joining. Chat room making noise. Yes, they are. They are chatting it up, man. They are chatting it up. How are we doing on likes, ladies and gentlemen? Over 38 likes. Wow, y'all are killing it tonight. Y'all are freaking killing it tonight, man. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all coming through. All right, so the guys outside looking in, okay? Because when you look at Carolina's 8 to 9 linemen, out of the 8 to 9 linemen, they're solid, okay? You got Michael Torkin. He has the size. He's got the traits, but he's raw. Camp reps will tell us if there's anything more than the potential here. As for Brandon Walton, another guy who is a journeyman, depth. He started games in Tampa Bay, but hasn't separated himself in Carolina. Jatry Carter. I actually like this guy. I'm a big fan of Jatry Carter. Very versatile guard prospect with a lot of upside. Hasn't been able to stick on a roster yet, but he is firmly in that last chance territory here. But don't sleep on him, okay? I think he's one of our dark horses on this team, to be honest with you, okay? I really do. I think he's one of the dark horses on this team. I do like Jatry. Another one is Luke Kendra, the undrafted rookie. He's a long shot. He'll need to put together a near perfect camp just to land on this practice squad. But when you go watch his tape, man, there's a lot to like about him. All right. Jared Kingston. If any guys who's outside looking in is going to steal a roster spot, I do think it's going to be him, though. I think that Jared Kingston's going to be a guy. If anyone's going to steal a roster spot, it's going to be this guy. He was on the 53-man roster last year. Is a known quantity for the coaching staff. He's not flashy, but he's coachable. That may be enough. As for Steven Losoya, which he's not on there as of right now on that roster, but he's just a camp body. Okay, if anything. Now, the battle to watch in this room, and we all know it, all right, is Cade Mays versus Austin Corbett. This is the battle of the Panthers training camp. This might be the battle of the entire training camp. Even though I firmly believe the wide receiver room is going to be one to watch. But this one might be the most intriguing one across the entire roster, because the reason why I say that is because Corbett made a smooth transition from guard to center last year before the torn bicep, right? Mays comes in, takes over, quietly played well, allowing just 10 pressures across 308 pass blocking snaps. So more importantly, Bryce Young looked more comfortable with Mays at center than he ever did before. So I think this decision is about trust. It's about health and chemistry. I think if Corbett returns at full strength, his as a veteran does give him the edge, right? But if he's slow to recover, or if Mays picks right up where he left off, I think the Panthers may roll with the younger and healthier option. But I think that this battle will define the identity of this offensive line and possibly could define the success of Bryce Young's third NFL season because of how important that center position is. Okay. All right. But I think this offensive line is a top 10 unit next year again. I really do. All right. I think that it's a top 10 unit next year again. Jesse comes in and says, hot take, I think we'll have a top 10 secondary this year. We'll dive into that. We're going to dive into that secondary. Don't you worry about it there, Jesse. Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it, bruh. Appreciate you guys, man. Pounding that like button, coming through. 38 likes. Appreciate you guys. Let's continue to get those likes up. We're already at 41, man. Y'all are killing it tonight. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys. All right, let's go on to the defensive line. All right. Love this one. But let's not pretend last year this defensive line was not a liability. Especially when Derek Brown was sidelined for 16 to 17 of the games. The run defense just completely collapsed. We were allowing 180 yards per rushing game. It was just franchise embarrassing, right? But we're heading into training camp now, ladies and gentlemen. And the team hopes it has done enough to avoid that repeat disaster. They've added a lot of key pieces, all right, in the free agency and the draft. But here's the real question. Here's the real question to you guys. Is there enough depth if things go sideways again? All right. Lock. Roster lock, Derek Brown. He's the heart of this defensive line. Without him, it doesn't function. Okay? Last year's knee injury wrecked the front seven. And that defense never recovered. Now, obviously, he's expected to be back for camp. But how close he is to 100% remains an unknown. When healthy, he is one of the best interior defenders in football. He's a monster against the run and disruptive enough as a pass rusher. The problem is behind him, things get dicey fast. Okay. Now, Derek Brown the third, or Bobby Brown the third, I apologize. Okay. Was one of Carolina's most important offseason additions. I don't care what anybody says, because you finally bring in a true nose tackle who is got the size of a true nose tackle, can play the 3 technique, 5 technique, the 1, all of it. Okay. 6'4", 235 pounds, raw power. starting experience at nose. He's penciled in as the new man in the middle. That it was such a necessary shift after how bad Shy Turtle has been, who couldn't hold up. He couldn't hold Bobby Brown's jock strap right now if he wanted to. Sorry. Shy Turtle should not. His name is Shy Turtle, and it'll be Shy Turtle, okay, until proven otherwise. But Bobby's job is simple: eat space, demand doubles, keep the linebackers clean. Again, if he stays healthy, this run defense should bounce back from rock bottoms easily. Easily. Now, Tershawn Wharton. Don't sleep on my guy, Turk. If you've seen Turk lately, the guy don't miss leg day. He doesn't skip it. Okay? He does not skip leg day. He doesn't know what skipping leg day means. The guy's got absolute trunks. Like, I feel like if he ripped off his legs and beat me with them, I'm dead in an instant. The guy's got absolute monster trunk legs. It's absolutely ridiculous. But if he decides that he ever wants to get out of football, he should go into bodybuilding because he might win. But that's just how big that dude is. But again, Tershawn Wharton, a quiet but smart signing. I mean, Wharton adds some pass rushing juice to this interior. He's not going to wreck games for you, but he does bring that twitch, technique, effort. I think in a rotation, he can be valuable, especially in obvious pass situations. And he's locked in. All right. A'Shawn Robinson, we all know A'Shawn, man. I mean, he may not be the household name he once was, but he's still a reliable physical trait player. Had 5.5 sacks last year. Who can give you quality rotation snaps. He's the former Alabama standout, is now more of a role player than a starter, I think. But with Derek Brown, Bobby Brown the third eating most of the base reps, that's what exactly Carolina needs him for. He's a smart depth piece, and I like that. Now, unfortunately, I have to say this. I think Tuttle still makes this roster, unfortunately. I think Tuttle, even though I call him Shy Turtle, but I'll call him by his name right now. But Tuttle has had a rough past 2 years, man. Like, I think he should have never been cast as a starting nose tackle. I think he's gotten overwhelmed consistently, and he's just ultimately took a pay cut to stick around. And with that being said, he's still serviceable as a rotational 3 tech or an early down backup, but his experience gives him a leg up, and he's clearly lost his grip on a starting role. So he'll be on this roster, but I don't expect much. Now, Cam Jackson, who we used to get in the 5th round this year, and you can see why, because obviously you go look him up. He's massive. You're talking about a guy who's 6'6", 328 pounds, and built like a proper space eater. He's raw, needs work on technique, but the physical tools are real, man. Like, if he shows even the modest progress in camp, he's making this roster. The coaches want that pick to work. They'll give him every chance to prove that. As for another guy, Jaden Crometti, I think will make this roster as well. All right, don't be surprised if Jaden Crometti makes this roster. Because I know we got him last year in the 6th pick, barely played to do a high ankle sprain, but flashed enough in college to still carry some intriguement there. He's long, lean, disruptive when healthy. He's the type of player you want to develop behind veterans. He's not a lock, but unless he completely just, I don't know, flops in preseason, I think he'll likely survive the cuts. I do. I do. Now, the guys outside looking in, I think is LeBron Ray. I think Cam Jackson makes the roster, Marcos. I said he makes the roster. Yeah, I think that the guys that make the roster are Brown, Derek Brown, Bobby Brown III, Wharton, Tuttle, Robinson, Cam Jackson, and Jaden Crometti, who I think they're basically automatics, in my opinion. The guys outside looking in, though, is LeBron. Well, we'll start off with LeBron Ray. All right. The reason why I say LeBron Ray is because if you go look at LeBron Ray last season, and especially because he started the 9 games last season, he was graded out as one of the worst run defenders in the league. He's just basically unusable. He's going to have to show that he's improved in camp or he's going to get cut. Now, got another guy outside looking in is Jared Harrison Hunt. You see on there. This is the name to circle. Here's what I'm going to say about that. This is a guy you want to circle because he's an undrafted rookie out of SMU. He brings a lot more juice than most people realize. I mean, the guy put up 6.5 sacks as an interior rusher, earned a first-team All-ACC honors. He's not huge. I mean, he's 6'4", 285, but he's quick off the snap and disruptive. I would not be surprised if he pushes one of these veterans off the roster, especially if the Panthers want more upside in the pass rush, which means you could end up seeing Shy Tuttle getting kicked off of here and LeBron Ray. Actually, probably not. It's probably going to be LeBron Ray off the roster, and they may keep that J-A-H. That maybe we'll call him J-double-H. Jared Harrison Hunt. Circle that name. Then last but not least, Sam Roberts, again, rotational piece, signed off the streets. Long shot. That's all I got to say about that. But the battle to watch here is, in this room for me, is definitely going to be Tuttle versus Cam Jackson. Right? I think Tuttle's, if we're talking about who has the edge, I think Tuttle has some edge because of the experience, the scheme knowledge. Where Jackson has the edge is that he's got the size, power, potential. All Cam Jackson has to do in camp is hold his own. And in preseason. Because he's got the higher ceiling. Especially if Tuttle just continues to regress. So. I'm going to give I would probably say at this point, Cam Jackson's got the edge. But again, don't sleep on, or I would say the dark horse in this room is Jared Harrison Hunt. Again, he has real quickness, a developing arsenal of moves, something a lot of this defensive line lacks, especially in the interior pass rushing potential. If he stacks strong practices and creates pressure in preseason action, you won't be able to keep him on the practice squad, I'll tell you that, because someone will come claim him. So don't sleep on Jared Harrison Hunt. But what I'll say is this Panthers defensive line looks better on paper, mostly because they were so bad last year it couldn't get worse. But with the addition of Bobby Brown III, you have a healthy Derek Brown backs, should fix a lot. But the depth here, it's a bit shaky. There's kind of a big drop off after Derek Brown, Bobby Brown III, Tershawn Wharton, and Nashawn Robinson, if you think about it. You know, so it's still, again, depth is still an issue here for me. It's not as bad as it was last year, but still an issue. Okay. All right. Because when I say besides those 4 guys I mentioned by Brown and Derek Brown, Bobby Brown III, Tershawn Wharton, Nashawn Robinson, I mean, you got Tuttle who's teetering on this roster. You got Jackson who's unproven. Crometti's coming off an injury, and then outside of Harrison Hunt, there's no clear backup plan if anyone was to get hurt. So let's just knock on wood. All right. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the linebackers. Let's talk about the linebackers. We got a lot. We're going to talk about. Well, we're going to talk about these linebackers. Yeah. Oh no, we're talking about the. Oh yeah. Okay, I forgot. I put the interior linebackers and the outside guys here. My bad. Okay, so linebackers. I'll say this. We're entering training camp, I feel like, with more questions than answers in this group. Because after another forgettable defensive year, I mean, I know that Dan Morgan threw bodies at the problem, but you drafting 2 edge rushers early, plugging inside linebacker holes with veteran short stop gaps. But the truth is this unit still looks shaky in spots and dangerously thin in others, in my opinion. But let's just break it down real quick. Now, Josey Jewell, let's start with him. Paid him to lead this linebacker group. I think Josey Jewell's average at best, man. He didn't elevate this defense. He didn't call the game-changing shots. He struggled when left on an island. And if he's locked in as a starter for now, but there's not much else behind him, really, right? The veteran floor for him, but not much ceiling, ladies and gentlemen. Not much ceiling. Okay. Tre'von Wallace. All right. 3rd round pick last year to become the future of the position. He has all the athletic traits: speed, range, explosiveness. What he doesn't have yet is consistency. Okay. So no big deal there, but he'll get every opportunity to prove he's ready to start, but it won't be handed to him, especially not with smarter, more experienced players like Roseboom in the room. I'll say that because I think Christian Roseboom is the definition of reliable depth and might be more than that. I mean, the guy racked up 135 tackles and 11 starts for the Rams last year. So if Wallace stumbles in camp, Roseboom could slide right in to that starting lineup without blinking, even though they have him starting. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Pat Jones. Okay, so Pat Jones, as you can see there, he didn't set the world on fire in Minnesota, but the Panthers needed functional bodies at the edge. He'll likely start out wide by default due to the fact of until the younger talent, maybe Scorton or Mamiel proves they can handle the workload. As for DJ Wanham, another former Viking, he's coming off he's coming off an injury as well, and he's questionable right now. His status is a bit wild card if healthy. He's a rotational ed piece who can get after the quarterback. If not, that opens the door for one of the rookies to leapfrog him quickly, which if DJ Wanham's not ready by week 1, I think Pat Jones, I think how we see the edge rushing room here will be Pat Jones here, Nick Scorton here. That's just me. As for Nick Scorton drafted round 2 this year. I think he has I had him as a 1st round grade. But Scorton is raw but powerful. He's a true edge rusher who needs time to develop his hands and bend, but he'll make the roster easily. Obviously, he wouldn't have signed that deal, but and likely get immediate rotational snaps. Now, if Wanham isn't ready or Jones stalls, Scorton will get thrown into the fire. I can see Scorton become the starting outside edge rusher I could see it by mid-season. I could see him and Princely making a push mid-season for starting roles. Because again, I had Princely as a I think I had Princely graded out as an early 2nd round pick. I think I had him graded out as a late 1st round before the when we started doing draft talks. But I had Princely probably by the end of, but right before the draft. I think I had him early second round. But again, another day 2 pick. Umami Yellen has a quick first step, had enough traits to be a long-term starter, but like Scorton, he's just not polished yet. Like, I think he's making the team, but it's unclear how much he'll play early unless there's an injury or major camp leap, right? Now, as of right now, guys who I think who could possibly make it or will make it, maybe Carolina Panthers, special teams, that's his ticket. You won't see him get many defensive reps, right? John Radigan, special teams first player, was a low profile signing. He's smart, physical, has a solid history as a third phase contributor. DJ Johnson. I mean, the clock is ticking for this guy. Third, he's just slid his way down this depth chart, man, and continues to do so. Especially with the rivals of Scorton and Umami Yellen. His only chance now is special teams, and he where he needs to show he's more than a liability. So this camp is do or die for him, I think. As of guys outside looking in, Bam Martin Scott, the Panthers clearly like him. They gave him one of the largest undrafted free agent guarantees in the entire league. So, yes, he's from out of South Carolina, which might as well be a cheat code in this front office. But if he shows anything in camp, I could see him pushing his way on this roster. As for Tua Nomura, because I cannot pronounce his full name, I call him Tua Nomura. I think he's a depth piece with limited upside. I think Nomura is going to be a camp body this year. But again, he's also kind of like Bam Martin Scott. They like him. You go watch his tape. He's a heavy hitter, great run defender. He could also if he can take that leap and prove himself during camp and preseason, just like Bam Martin Scott, they could jump guys like Claude Churlis and DJ Johnson and John Radigan, and those guys, right? Jacob Windemon, another developmental piece, has the athletic flashes, but hasn't shown enough in the game, in-game awareness or consistency. Likely headed for the practice squad. Abarna, we all know the speed isn't the issue, but again, there's just nothing there, right? We've waited 2 seasons for this guy, for him to develop, and I think his time has just ran out. As for Boogie Basham, a former second-round pick who's bounced around with very little show for it, he's fighting for his NFL future. If it doesn't help that he's buried on the edge depth chart behind rookies, and the team is actually invested in. Another camp warm body for me is Thomas Incomm. And then, of course, you got another guy that actually they don't have on this list, Paulo Mwansa, right? But I'll say this. The camp battle for this linebacker room, ladies and gentlemen, to me, is the Tre'von Wallace versus Christian Roseboom. This could define the middle of Carolina's defense. Wallace is the future, at least that's what we all hope. As for Roseboom, you already knows Evero's system has proven production. If Wallace isn't sharp in coverage or misreads in the run game, then Roseboom could start week 1. So this is one of the rare, I want to say position battle where it's youth versus reliability. And there's a strong argument for either, ladies and gentlemen, for sure. So, again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. And again, I hope you guys are enjoying the show. All right, let me oh, one more thing with this linebacker room I forgot to mention. My dark horse is Bam Martin Scott for that linebacker room. I think for the linebacker and the edge rooms, I'm thinking Bam Martin Scott. I know his name's not on the list here, but or is not on this screen, but when you hand a guy a $300,000 undrafted free agent guaranteed, that's essentially saying we don't want to risk losing this guy. He was a late bloomer at South Carolina. He's got the NFL body and attitude. If he hits on special teams and shows even a little juice on defense, he could make this 53-man roster over some other guys. So, as for this linebacker room, I think it's going to be a mixed bag. It's a lot of unproven talent, a lot of injured vets, special teams guys. There's plenty of potential, especially with the rookie edge duo with Princely and Scorton. But Roseman was a great insurance policy inside. There's no true alpha in this group. The interior linebackers lack star power, though. The outside linebackers are mostly developmental. So we'll see. This is a group that I'm looking forward to, but we'll see. Like, I'm looking forward to what, that Rose Boom versus Wallace battle in this training camp. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to that secondary, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start off with the corners first, okay? And then we'll get into the safeties, okay? Now this secondary on paper, there's just enough to field a functional unit, I think. But dig deeper, it becomes clear this group is one or two injuries away from leaning heavily on the late round rookies and fringe veterans, in my opinion. Now, Carolina made a few highlight moves this offseason, right? But whether there are any real hidden gems in this backfield or just fillers, that's the question heading into training camp. But again, so let's talk about the corners real quick first. J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn is a legitimate CB1, right? The problem is that we all know he's not been healthy except last year, right? We really got a full season, right? We really got a full season out of him last year. Now, he missed 29 of 51 career games total so far, but the Panthers still handed him a new deal this offseason. Now, that is a calculated risk when it comes to signing a guy who's missed that many games, but they're going based on talent over the availability. If he goes down again, this secondary could fall apart fast, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think J.C. Horn will be fine, and I think we'll have another full season with him again this season because of how he's now training. I think he's kind of figured out his body now. Last year, he's figuring out his body, what his body can take, and what his body can't take, especially food, physically, mentally. And I think we saw that change last year, and I think that's the reason why we saw him stay healthy through 15 games last year, right? You get 15 games out of J.C. Horn, you're doing something right. All right. I'm still shocked that Asante Samuel Jr. hasn't been signed anywhere. I know. And he's got good value. His contract wouldn't be that expensive. I think his market value is very low. I think it's like 11 million or 7. It's like between 7 and 11 million. I don't think it's that expensive. Let me go look up his market value real quick, Jesse. Yeah, his market value is 11.5 million per year, which ain't bad for Asante Samuel Jr. Still extremely shocked they have not brought in another reliable guy before camp starts in secondary. Kendall, I think that, again, like we spoke about it the other night, I think they will. I mean, we see that through training camp all the time where, they cut guys, bring guys in. I think we will. Asante Samuel coming to Charlotte got organization believe Mike Jack is really good. Really, he okay, but hell no. I feel you, Dom 34. Sante Samuel has had a neck injury, if I'm correct. I'm not sure if he did. I would have to go look into his injury reports. All right, let's move on to Mike Jack. Mike Jack isn't flashy. He's physical experience. So, he did earn himself a new contract, though. He's penciled in as the CB2. I think Jackson is reliable at best. But with the fact that our secondary lacks proven depth, he also becomes extremely valuable now. Right? Now, as for Shaw Smith-Wade, okay? Shaw Smith-Wade is one of the few bright spots from OTAs and minicamps. We've heard this off season. I mean, Smith-Wade, a 2024 fifth round pick last year, obviously has the inside track for the slot corner job. He plays with confidence, energy. He'll need both because opposing offenses will target the slot early and often. But let's go over to the safety room real quick, and I'll jump back to the corner room here in a second. But Tre'von Moehrig is obviously he was my favorite signing this offseason, one of my favorites, probably number one favorite, even though I had a couple. But I would say Bobby Brown the third is probably my second. But the Panthers threw big money at Moehrig, right? You're talking about $51 million over 3 years, making him the tone setter in the safety room. He's versatile enough to cover ground in the deep third or come down into the box. I mean, the staff clearly believes he can stabilize a unit that struggled to tackle and take the ball away in 2024. Then you bring in Lathan Ransom, who's a fourth-round rookie out of Ohio State. Guy who's tough, smart, comes from a big-time program, knows how to win championships. He's not the flashiest. He's disciplined, physical. He's likely to start opposite. He might end up starting opposite of Tre'von Moehrig at this point. Or at the very least, he'll be the rotate heavily. I could see Lathan Ransom starting over Nick Scott, and it'd be Tre'von Moehrig right beside Nick Scott. But I could also see it where Tre'von Moehrig and then it's Damani Richardson, right? But those are my guys that are locked, right? I think Mike Jack and, of course, J.C. Horn, Tre'von Moehrig, and Lathan Ransom are locks. Now, I think guys who are probably going to make the roster, Shamar Bartholomew right now is CB3 on the outside. Because he's earned it, and because there's nobody else. The problem is he's raw. He's inconsistent. He's got the length because they always love those linky corners. We've seen that last year. But the Panthers have no choice but to keep him. And the thing is like Horn or Jackson miss time. Bartholomew might get thrown into, the fire early than anyone might like. I will say this. Shamar Bartholomew, when they brought him in, had the highest PFF grade out of anybody in the NFL last preseason. So there is some promise there. I will say that. Now let's go back to the safety room. I want to talk about Damani Richardson real quick. I think he makes the roster. Undrafted rookie in 2024, showed up when this Carolina secondary was falling apart last season. He started 5 of the 7 games he did play in. He held his own, especially in the run support. He's not a rangy coverage safety. He's assigned he's an assignment sound type of guy, and he's got tough traits. This safety group desperately needs. I like Damani Richardson. And then, of course, Nick Scott. I mean, I think he's going to make it, even though I don't think he's that good. Scott brings special teams value. He brings experience, right, to a very green room. Okay. He's not going to push for a starting job. He's the kind of low maintenance vet you keep around in case the wheels fall off, right? I would put Lathan if I did the Lathan Ransom thing with I would put Tre'von Moe. I would put Lathan Ransom as the free safety. But I could see a world where you could put Tre'von Moe at the free safety and put Lathan Ransom at the strong. But I would probably put Lathan Ransom at free safety and let Tre'von Moe be the strong safety. But but Tre'von Moe can play free safety. He's got that. He's versatile enough in that. We definitely we definitely need to look at getting some depth. I just don't know if Asante Samuel is that guy, Jesse. I don't know. Initially, they cut Clowney, save money to throw at the secondary, but now it feels it was different for different reasons. Who knows? You thought you were gonna get? We thought we were gonna get Julian Blackman, or we thought we might even go get Justin Simmons, and there's just been all this yap, Oh, he definitely will, Marcos. He definitely will. All right, let's go. Let's get the guys outside looking in. All right, so from the corner standpoint, Akila Belvins, he's the only guy probably outside looking in with the real NFL experience. I mean, the guy has started 18 games, but he just hasn't stand out in a meaningful way. Again, he's another long, athletic corner. He's gonna need a strong camp to stick. He could sneak onto the roster I see before. We'll see. MJ Devonshire was a 2024 seventh rounder by the Raiders. Devonshire has some legitimate upside to him. He's twitchy, can play inside or out, has the knack to find finding the football. Given the lack of proven depth in this corner room, his worth is someone you might want to keep a close eye on, especially if injuries hit. As for the rest of the guys like Travis Brogdon or Michael Reed or Corey Thornton or Tre'von Thomas, none of these guys are making the roster. They're most of those guys I just mentioned are practice squad considerations. All right. Now on this side, Isaac Gifford, Jack Henderson. Gifford is a box safety. He's got some pop to him. Henderson can move around in sub packages. So both are very versatile. But those guys are likely fighting each other for one back end roster spot. Could stick if the Panthers, value special teams upside or creative sub package defenses roles for these guys if need be, but I doubt it. I think the battle between, because I do think I could see this battle here in the free safe or for the free safety, because I don't think they're going to throw Nick Scott out there. I think it's going to be between Lathan Ransom and Damani Richardson. That's just my opinion. I think for that free safety spot, I think Ransom is the higher draft pick. And comes with a more fanfare, whereas Richardson has already logged meaningful snaps in the system. He's got it's basically experience versus upside. I think Ransom likely wins the job in the long run. But unless he comes out slow in camp, I wouldn't be shocked if Ransom opens up in week 1 next to Moe. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Now, a guy who's my dark horse in this secondary is actually MJ Devonshire. He could end up being a true hidden gem in this secondary because he has the tool. He's got fluid hips. He's got good link. He's got decent instincts. And the Panthers have a glaring need for a backup corner. So, again, if he can go out there, outperform Bartholomew or Evans in camp, he's going to make this 53-man roster easily. So, but yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting training camp, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be an interesting training camp. But that is my training camp breakdown of the roster battles that we look forward to. I'm going to give you a short coming out here soon, giving you my top 5 roster battles heading into training camp. I will make that here shortly. As soon as we log off of here. We've been live for over an hour and 45 minutes. Again, I appreciate everyone coming in, joining me on this Sunday evening. I appreciate you guys coming through the chat. Make sure you guys are pounding that like button, hit that subscribe button on your way in and on your way out. And if you're feeling generous, again, feel free to, if you're feeling generous, feel free to donate to the channel through Venmo or Cash App. That's linked up at the top. If you want to, become a member of the Roppstar Report, that link is at the top of the chat as well. Become a member of the Roppstar, or you can find it in the description of this live stream. It's less than $2 a month. So actually, you have different levels. You can pay $1 a month, $2 a month, $3 a month, $4 a month, up to $5 a month. It's up to you. All my links to my Facebook, my Instagram, my X, my TikTok, if you want to go over, or even the Discord to this channel, you guys can use that as well. You can join all those for free. It definitely goes a long way. By the way, Nick Scorton's mom just followed me on TikTok, so you probably should too. Just so you know. Other than that, guys, I'll see y'all. Training camp does start tomorrow. The rookies report. I'll definitely be live tomorrow night. I won't be able to be live during the day, of course, because I got to work. But I will be live tomorrow evening. Probably just shooting the shit with you guys, because I don't know how much is going to be going on. But yeah, we'll definitely be diving into the training camp throughout the rest once things start get rolling. I'll be live every single day, same time, same place, between 8 and 8:30 every single day here at the Roppstar Report. Again, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in tonight. Again, do me a favor, make sure you like, subscribe, and click that post notifications bell so you don't miss any new content. Other than that, guys, love you. Be safe. Have a good week, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Other than that, guys, I'm out of here. Keep pounding. Peace.